All right. Okay. So we will continue with our intrigues and intricacies in the scriptures. Today we will look at Genesis chapter 9. Genesis chapter 9 is one of those places in the scriptures that you look at, you wondering what is really going on here. So those are some of the things we have been looking at to take a little dive into the scriptures to help us understand what is going on here so that we can learn more and by the grace of God, as He helps us by His Spirit, get the right information. So can we please turn to Genesis chapter 9? A lot of us already know what happened in Genesis chapter 9. In Genesis chapter 9, can we turn there, please? I'm not sure that you can put it on the screen. Thank you. So in Genesis chapter 9, after the flood, Noah and the family, they came out. Now God blessed Noah, blessed the family, and gave them the mandate, to multiply, to fill the earth. It was like a new beginning. And along the line, something's happened that is a little strange. So if we go to, let me read from verse 1. And God blessed Noah and his sons, and said unto them, be fruitful, and multiply, and replenish the earth. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and upon every bird of the heavens, with all wherewith the ground teemeth, and all the fishes of the sea. Into your hands are they delivered. So God gave that dominion again to man. Every moving thing that liveth shall be food for you. As the green herbs have I given you all. Now everything. But flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall ye not eat. And surely your blood, the blood of the lives, will I require at the hands of every beast, will I require it, and at the hand of man, even at the hand of every man's brother, will I require the life of man. Basically, prohibition of killing of man or by beast. Verse 6. Whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of God made he man. Yeah. And you be ye fruitful and multiply, bring forth abundantly in the earth, and multiply therein. So and God spake unto Noah and to his sons with him, saying, and I, behold, I establish my covenant with you, and with your seed after you, and with every living creature that is with you, the birds, the cattle, and every beast of the earth with you, for all that go out of the ark, even every beast of the earth. And I will establish my covenant with you. Neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of the flood, neither shall there any more be a flood to destroy the earth. And God said, this is the token of the covenant which I make between me and you, and every living creature that is with you, for perpetual generations. Verse 13, I do set my bow on the cloud, and it shall be for a token of covenant between me and the earth. And it shall come to pass, when I bring a cloud over the earth, that the bow shall be seen in the cloud. And I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you, and every living creature of all flesh, and the waters shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. So there's a guarantee that the flood will not destroy the whole earth anymore. So God saying all this, can you take it down? Let's go a little more down so that we don't waste too much time. Okay. Now from verse 20, after God has blessed them, God set them out, giving them the commission, the covenant He said, they are to replenish the earth. So Noah is like a new beginner, Verse 20. And Noah began to be an husbandman and planted a vineyard. Verse 21. And he drank of the wine and was drunken, and he was uncovered within his tent. He was uncovered within his tent. Verse 22. And Ham, the father of Canaan. This is very interesting. You see, as he's narrating this story, he mentioned Ham, and immediately he's making us know Ham is the father of Canaan. Because what he's going to narrate now, at that time, Canaan was not born yet. So that means he's giving us a clue already. There is something about to happen that will be concerning this Canaan. Saw the nakedness of his father and told his two brethren without. Verse 23. And Shem and Japheth took a garment and laid it up upon both their shoulders and went backward and covered the nakedness of their father. And their faces were backward, and they saw not their father's nakedness. And Noah awoke from his wine and knew what his youngest son had done unto him. And he said, Cursed be Canaan. We saw where he said, he mentioned Ham, and he mentioned Ham is the father of Canaan. Now we saw something happened. Now about Ham seeing the father's nakedness and telling his other two brothers about it. Then the Bible said, Noah woke up and knew what his youngest son had done unto him. In some other translation, he said, and he saw what the youngest son had done unto him. In some other translation. And he said, verse 25, Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. 26. And he said, Blessed be Jehovah, blessed be God, the God of Shem, and let Canaan be his servant. Verse 27. God enlarged Japheth, and let him dwell in the tents of Shem, and let Canaan be his servant. And Noah lived after the flood 350 years, and all the days of Noah were 950 years, and he died. So let's go into verse 10. I will read verse 10. Chapter 10. Read chapter 10 a little because there is something there. Now it's going to give the generation of the sons of Noah. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, namely Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were sons born after the flood. They all had children after the flood. The sons of Japheth, Gomer, and Magog, and Medai, and Javan, and Tubal, and Meshech, and Tiras. The sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, and Raphat, and Tagama. Now this place is boring. Please bear with me. Verse 4. And the sons of Javan, Elisha, and Tashish, Kittim, and Dudanim. Verse 5. Of these were the higher of the nations divided in their land, every one after his tongue, after their families in their nation. So he's giving us a clue already about what happened after the Tower of Babel. We'll see that later in chapter 11. And the sons of Ham, Cush, and Mizrahim, and Put, and Canaan. And the sons of Cush, Sheba, and Avila, Sabat, Ramah, Septica, and the sons of Ramah, Sheba, and Dedan. So he's giving us idea how these people went forward. But where we are going to dwell on is one of these sons, Canaan, who is one of the sons of Ham. So how come Noah did not curse Ham for what Ham did? How come he did not curse, let's say, even other of his children? Why did he single Canaan out? What did Canaan do? What happened? Now, this is a head scratcher. And it is good to look into something like this because it does reveal some things about the scriptures because at times it is easy for us to just assume that certain things in the scriptures are just like that, and we take it like that, and at times we don't really appreciate the amount of craziness of stuff that happens that are recorded in the scriptures, because that really helps us to understand the human nature, and so that we will know that in spite of how bad people are today, people have always been bad, and God has been walking through it, and He will continue to walk through it. So that gives us hope that God is able to walk through whatever circumstances we find around us, no matter how crazy they may seem. So I wanted to ask a question so that we can all contribute based on what we see, our understanding, what we think. What do we think is happening here? Why do we think Noah is cursing Canaan for what Ham did? So what is going on here? He did not curse Ham. He did not say curse be Ham. The Bible said Ham did something. The Bible said he saw his father's nakedness. Okay, if someone's dad is drunk and you happen to step inside the house and he's falling down naked, of course, as a good son, you should make sure you respect your dad. That it will be bad for you to. But then he went and tell his brothers, okay, he saw him naked on in the tent. He went out and told his brothers. His brothers came, they covered him. Then the Bible said he woke up, and the Bible said he knew. In some translations, some translation said he saw what he did. And he said, caused be Canaan. Canaan was not even there. So what is going on here? What can we glean out of this? I don't know if anybody have any thought about this.
I just have questions.
Yes, okay, it's all right. Yeah, maybe someone will have. Yes, go ahead, Andre.
Yeah, I never noticed. I thought, I didn't realize that Ham was the youngest. I just saw that.
Yeah, in some translations, I can see why. In some translation, they never stated that Ham was the youngest. In this translation, they stated that. Yeah, I can see
because
that,
it's always listed.
Yes.
Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
Yes.
It's always listed that way.
Yes.
And the only thing, Canaan was the youngest of Ham's children too. But other than that, I don't know. I've wondered about that myself.
All right, Andre. Thank you. Yeah, that aspect of yes, I saw that too when I was reading it. In some translation, it was not said that way. Yeah, but it is interesting why Noah caused Ham. Caused Canaan. Yeah. Is there any other person that has something to say? Yes, we can hear you, Jerry. It's a little faint. Yeah. All right, go ahead.
My whole thing, I think, it says when Noah woke up, that's from his drunkenness. When he woke up, came to, he knew, some of the translators say he knew what Ham was done. My son said, so I know there's a question there. Is it just Ham seeing him naked and then stepping back to tell his older brothers? Or did Ham do something? Someone that I know, I've heard someone say what happened was that Ham actually had intercourse with his dad, sexual intercourse.
So that means he sexually molested his dad.
Molested his dad.
Okay.
And then his brother went and covered, which was a shame. So that is why. I mean, this is just speculation because I can't really defend that. I don't
Yeah.
easily that, but that what's his name? Noah then said that's why he cursed Canaan, because that is Ham's offspring.
But somebody will ask, yeah, that is somebody might ask, but Ham did it, Canaan did not do it. So,
Yes. In that case, I mean, I'm just stating that.
yes,
That's
yes,
what some
yes.
people say. Do I necessarily why Noah cursed and he ended up cursed Canaan? That I cannot. I can really not explain. I don't know if it's some people say always a prophetic thing that God was giving a prophetic insight into what is going to happen. I don't know. That for me, I see all those aspects.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have it. So
Okay.
I-
Andrea, did you want to say something more, Andrea?
Yeah, I think it's Leviticus 18. I'm not quite sure, but somewhere in Leviticus, it actually has statements about the father's nakedness, exposing the father's nakedness,
Yes.
and
Yes.
giving more information on that, what that means.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think you have a point there, Andre. And Jerry, the point Jerry made is a value thought that people have thought it that this might have been what happened. I've heard that as well. That people say that it might be Ham was perverted. And even though, if you think about it, it is very hard. Even if someone is perverted, not with his old dad, that is falling drunk in the tent. So it's sort of that is if that is what happened, that is really a sickening, demonic perversion, and not that it's not possible in the world we live in. Strange things happens in the world, as we are going to see as we dig deep into this. We will see some strange stuff. The Bible is full of strange things, and a lot of times we tend to run away from it. Yeah, a lot of the churches, they won't talk about this, they will run away from it, and it doesn't help. We leave our young upcoming Christians with so many questions, and their faith is not entrenched enough because they have so many questions. The level of their persuasion is not strong enough. But if we attempt to look into them, even though we may not know the full answer, at least that will give them a sense of the fact that there is nothing being hidden. There is nothing, that freedom to be able to, to really look at the scriptures and see what is this place really saying, I think is very helpful. And Andrea raised a very good point in Leviticus. We are going to go to Leviticus because part of what might be going on here, you will notice that I use the word might be going on. So I'm not trying to build any doctrine, just the same way Jerry was saying that he heard this is not here. We are just looking into this, but I'm going to make a case here that might be very fascinating, but I can prove it with the scriptures. Part of what is going on, which happens a lot, is idiomatic expression. The Bible does it a lot. The Bible will use idioms to represent something that are very messed up. But it will drive home the message, but someone that doesn't understand that culture, you may not get it. Idioms are always like that. Like if somebody tells somebody that this person is a pain on my neck, right? Or these students are pain on my neck. For someone that is not used to that type of idiomatic expression, that just moving from another country where they don't use that type of words, he would think you are talking of literal pain on your neck. But he won't understand that you are referring to the fact that they are inconvenient you or making you angry or doing something that you don't like, or a kind of a problem to you, not necessarily a physical pain on your neck, right? So the Bible does that a lot. And I think in this case, the point Andrea has made and the point Jerry has also made concerning the sexual part of it is connected. There is definitely a sexual part to it. There is. Because the word that is used, saw the father's nakedness, is an idiomatic expression that is used a lot in the Bible to talk about sexual stuff. It is in the Bible, and that is exactly how it was referred to in Leviticus. So what we are going to do, can we please turn to Leviticus? Let's take it from there. Let's turn to Leviticus chapter 20. Yes, Jerry.
That verse that says the youngest.
I wish I can hear you. Jerry, can you make it a little louder if possible at all?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, a little better. Yes, yes.
Okay, I'm going to have to change something. But that verse that says the younger son,
Yeah.
you say there are some version that doesn't show as the younger son.
Yeah, that didn't
Some say the younger, some says the youngest.
Okay. Exactly. Yeah, yeah. So the youngest or the younger. So because there are three of them. Yeah. So at times, yeah. That's what I mean. So there are times you don't know which is really, So, but yeah.
Because the younger can be the second.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We can move on.
Okay. Thank you. So let's go to Leviticus chapter 20. We're also going to look at 18, but in this case, let's look at 20 first because it's going to bring it down. Idiomatic expression. The writers of the Bible, they did this a lot. For instance, in some translation, when God was angry with Jehoiakim, because of all his evil, God said, there is no person that peace against the wall in your family that will ever stand on the throne. You got peace against the wall. He's talking about a man, no male child. Yeah, it's all over the Bible. But this, let's look at what the Bible says in Leviticus, and we are going to dissect the word to uncover nakedness or to see nakedness. They basically mean the same thing. To see somebody's nakedness in biblical terms, when it is used under certain circumstances, is talking about sexual situation. Or to uncover somebody's nakedness is the same thing. At times the Bible will use see, and at times it will use the word uncovered. So if we go to Leviticus chapter 20, I want us to read verse 11. Can somebody else read, please? Leviticus chapter 20. Leviticus chapter 20, verse 11, please. And anybody that want to read, please let us know the translation you are using.
Hang on.
Okay.
Let me get there real quick. Sorry.
It's all right. It's okay.
20, verse 11.
Yes.
I'm using the New King James.
New King James. Okay. Thank you.
It says, "And the man that lieth with his father's wife hath uncovered his father's nakedness. Both of them shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them."
Okay. You see, the Bible just equates lying with somebody's father's wife is uncovering the father's nakedness, not even the mother. So if someone is married to a woman and somebody else that is a relative, whether a son or go and have sexual relations with that woman, you are not only uncovering the woman's nakedness, you are uncovering the husband's nakedness. Very fascinating. I want us to pay attention to that. So let me read it again from here. It said, the man that lieth with his father's wife has uncovered his father's nakedness, because his father's wife nakedness is the nakedness of the father. Both of them shall surely be put to death. Andre, can you read verse 17? 17.
Yeah. 17. And if a man shall take his sister, his father's daughter, or his mother's daughter, and see her nakedness, and she see his nakedness, it is a wicked thing, and they shall be cut off in the sight of their people. He hath uncovered his sister's nakedness, he shall bear his iniquity.
You see here now, because the sister is not married to another man, it's just the sister's nakedness that is uncovered. If that sister was married, it is the husband's nakedness that would have been uncovered, even though the act was done to the lady. So, and again, we are seeing that uncovering nakedness is equating to what? Sexual relations. That's why I said there is definitely sexual stuff going on in Genesis there. And people that go to the part that Jerry just spoke about, I do think they are wrong, in the sense that they are thinking of the sexual act being Ham doing it on his father. No. I think Ham did it on his mother. In that process, he uncovered the father's nakedness, because we know something resulted from it. And what resulted from it is Canaan. And that is why Noah caused Canaan. And as we go deep into it, we're going to look at a lot of things that happen in the Old Testament that we can build around this. But again, like I said, this is not a doctrine I'm trying to build to stamp on everybody. But we are going to follow the scriptures. Based on where we read, if a man go and have sexual relationship with his mother, he's uncovered the nakedness of his father. That means he sees the father's nakedness. So let's remember that. Then can we read verse 19, Andrea, as well? Verse 19. Then we'll read 19, 20, 21.
And thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy mother's sister, nor of thy father's sister, for he uncovereth his near kin. They shall bear their iniquity.
Amen. So it's using uncovering of nakedness to mean sexual relations. So let's read 20 and 21.
Sure. And if a man shall lie with his uncle's wife, he hath uncovered his uncle's nakedness.
You pause here. You see now, as long as once that person is married and a man is involved in it, it is the man's nakedness that is uncovered.
Yeah. They shall bear their sin, and they shall die childless. And if a man shall take his brother's wife, it is an unclean thing. He hath uncovered his brother's nakedness. They shall be childless.
You see that? So, because the woman is married, this is very important that we pay attention to that, because that will probably help us in dealing with the situation with Canaan. If a child wasn't involved, somebody saying Ham have sexual relation with his father, I don't even know how it can come to people's mind, but in the world we live in, it does happen. That is why even the Bible spoke about it. In fact, where we are reading, earlier parties spoke about homosexual abomination, then a child will not be involved. Noah cannot get pregnant. But Canaan was a product of that. I believe that is why Noah caused Canaan. Because there is something at play here that is very subtle. If you look at after they left, came out of the ark, God blessed them, God gave them marriage again. He made the covenant. So the covenant was to continue now from Noah. And Noah is the head of their family. He is the patriarchal head. And the covenant is to go from him to someone else. It seems like what is going on here is Ham trying to usurp and take over and compete for the patriarchal head of the family from his dad. And when you don't pay attention to this, you may not realize how often this happens in the Bible. And a lot of times, one of the ways they do it is to take on the spouse or whoever they are contending with, to assert dominance. That may be what is going on here. I want us to take a look at, let's just look at this. And please, if there is question or thought, please feel free. Please feel free. Let's see First Chronicle. First Chronicle chapter 5. Verse 1. Because we know what happened with before then, you know what? Let's go to where it first happened. Let's look at Genesis. What Reuben did. Reuben did something like this. And the father stripped him of his first son position. He did something like this. And there is also a spiritual dimension to this we have to understand. We know what happened with the Canaanite later, right? God told Israel to wipe them out. There is an undercurrent of spiritual warfare going on here. Why it entered Ham's mind to try to take power, to try to dominate and take over the patriarchal leadership so that he can legitimate himself by raising a seed through his father's wife, his own mother, as a way of demonstrating his dominance over his father. This is how he plays. It definitely wasn't of God. And the product was Canaan. And we also see the role that Canaan played later. So there's definitely a spiritual dimension to this. Definitely. But let's look at what happened with Reuben. Let's go to Genesis. Genesis chapter 34. We'll read verse 22. Is this Genesis 34? Mm-hmm. Okay. I think there's a mistake there. That should be... Let's go to 49. I'm trying to pull out exactly. Let's go to Genesis 49. Should be 24. Let's try Genesis 24 first. Genesis 24. No, it can't be 24. No, it's not 24 at all. No. Let's go down again to Genesis 35, right? Yeah, it's 35. Let's go to 35. Thank you, Beth. That's why it's good to have people around you that can. Yeah. Genesis 35. Let's read verse 22. Now we see, remember, God is working towards bringing Christ, right? The fullness of the manifestation of the plan of redemption. We have to understand the devil is not, is trying. Remember, God made the point known from Genesis, right? Genesis chapter 2, right? God made it very clear. Genesis chapter 3, verse 15. The enmity, the seed of the woman. So the covenant that God has with his people is because of that. He's working towards that. What is Ham doing here? What is the devil influencing Ham to do here? To create a diversion. That's what is going on here. And what did Reuben try to do as well? If you look at whether what prompted Reuben was because of just lust, or maybe the dad's, one of the dad's wife was just so beautiful, but still it is still instigated by influence of the devil, definitely not of God. He played on his lust or played on whatever his desire was. And it came to pass while Israel dwelt in that land, that Reuben went and lay with Bilhah, his father's concubine, and Israel heard of it. If you notice, immediately he said that he stopped. Then he started giving the genealogy again, just like what happened in Genesis with he's giving the genealogy because this thing is about passing down a seed. It's about passing down seed. And we did know that Jacob responded to that very well, because let's go to Genesis 49. Genesis 49. We'll read verse 3 to 4. Let me just start from 1. Genesis 49. This is where before Jacob died, and it was Israel, Jacob. He was prophesying and giving blessings. And Jacob called unto his sons and said, gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the latter days. He made it very clear. And prophesying and talking about what is going to happen later. Assemble yourselves and hear, ye sons of Jacob, and hearken unto Israel your father. Verse 3. Reuben, thou art my firstborn, my might and the beginning of my strength, the preeminence of dignity and the preeminence of power, boiling over as water, but thou shalt not have the preeminence. He stripped him. Because thou wentest up to my father's bed, then to thy father's bed, you notice he called what? The father's bed. And defiled thou it. He went up to my couch. Now, this place is very insightful. He said, he went up to my couch. The heart, I would love to hear another translation. Mm-hmm. Definitely won't be couch. But what he's trying to say is this. The act of what Reuben did is sounding as if he did it too. You will notice that Jacob did not even mention his wife here at all. But he's mentioning himself. Because why? It is his nakedness. Thou went up to thy father's bed. He said to my father's bed. If someone has said you went to your father's bed, you won't think of the father that is talking about his wife. You won't even think of it. Because it is his nakedness. Then later he said, you went up to my couch. He did not even mention Bilhah. Reuben did it with Bilhah, one of the father's wife. He said, but you will not have the preeminence. He stripped him of his position. If we can see it also in Chronicles. Can we go to Chronicles? That should be, yeah. Let's see First Chronicles, chapter 5, verse 1. And the sons of Reuben, the firstborn of Israel, for he was the firstborn, but for as much as he defiled his father's couch, his birthright was given unto the sons of Joseph, the son of Israel. And the genealogy is not to be reckoned after the birthright. He was stripped. He defiled his father's couch. He defiled his father's bed. But the name of the woman is not mentioned. So if we didn't know what happened, people can as well say, oh, did he have sexual relation with his dad? Did he sexually molest his dad? Just like what helped with that is that there is a product. The product is Canaan. That is why Canaan was cursed. At times when we think about curses, in this regard, the cause is that child is delegitimized. It cannot be part of the covenant. The child is delegitimized. He's going to be a servant because that was not the plan of God. So it is quite interesting when you begin to look at it from this perspective. There are other things that happen in the Bible that we also, because the idea of somebody taking somebody's wife to assert his dominance, to take over authority, is in the Bible. Is in the Bible. To the extent that because of this, Solomon killed his own brother. And when you read that place, it is the weirdest thing. Before, when I read that place, I'm like, why is this guy? This is just crazy. His brother asked to marry one of the father's concubine, and Solomon killed him for that, for asking. Because it was a power play. There is power play going on. But for someone that doesn't understand how things work in that part of the world, then you will miss it completely and you'll be wondering what is going on. Why is this extreme reaction? Or you could have just said, no, it's not happening. You are not giving her to you. But Solomon read way more deeper meaning into it. There's another one that happened. Absalom did a strange thing in the Bible. Very strange. Can we turn to, let's go to, and again, if you look at more about you, yes, Jerry, yes, please.
Before we go, I just want to point out some things.
Yeah.
I also have a question. Like when you say, which is, this is conjecture, right? That's right.
Yes, like I said, yeah.
Right? Because there's a big difference between having sex with his mother and bearing seed from that. Right? You say the Canaan might have been the product of that sexual relationship that he had with his mother.
Yes.
And the other group, the other one that theorize and say maybe he did something to his dad sexually.
Yeah.
That wasn't right.
Yeah,
So
the reason
why is it that it's after his dad is drunk?
Yeah, the reason I tilt
he's
more.
awaking from drunkenness.
Yeah.
That he would, because if that thing has happened, I don't think he would have been able to wait for long before pronouncing the punishment on that illegitimate.
There are two ways to look at it there. If he pronounced the curse immediately, then it becomes prophetic. You see, and then there's a child actually involved. Which is why I tilt more to this, because The other aspect, if it was that, then a child will not be involved. Because there are other precedents in the Bible about always doing this to sort of take over someone that is in a patriarchal position or a leadership by someone that is, for some reason, being greedy or looking. Yes, Jerry.
This is his mother. It's
Oh,
not just
yes.
his father concubine.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Because that of Reuben, remember, Reuben went in to the servant of Rachel.
I understand, but the servant was the father's concubine. Like I said, yes.
I understand.
Yeah.
So they might be around the same age.
I understand that. I understand that. What I'm trying to say is this: the aspect of somebody saying, Ham, have sexual intercourse with his dad is way grosser than this. I know.
Both of them are gross.
I know.
Both of them are gross.
I know. because when you are saying this is his mother, if somebody say this is his father, I mean that is because it's just weird. They are both weird. But because there is someone that is caused that has no other connection with this except, again, like we said, I'm not trying to create a doctrine on this, except for the fact that if there is no seed propagation that was involved, why would Canaan be caused? Why not the other sons that came from Ham? You understand what I'm trying to say?
The mother had to be pregnant for 9 months.
Yes.
To carry that baby for 9 months.
But again, like I'm saying, if Canaan, if Noah made that curse immediately, then there's a prophetic aspect to it. He knew what was going to come out of this. The Bible did not say whether he did it immediately, but the way it sounds is as if he did it immediately. Because at times when you are giving story and genealogy, at times it becomes difficult to tell whether it was immediately, because at times they go back to talk about it again, and they continue to talk about it again. But whether he did it immediately or he waited until the child was born, it doesn't make any difference. If that is the case, then there is a product that gives reason to why he caused Canaan out of that covenant. And we actually see what happened to Canaan later, because there is no other way apart from maybe this way. We will say you will just cause Canaan that has nothing to do with it. Even though we cannot say, yes, Jerry?
I'm also looking at it this way, that his mother will still have to be within the age of reproduction at that time.
Yep.
Because if we go by the age of Noah, I would assume Noah's wife might be maybe Shem, Ham, and Japheth's mother would be around the age of Noah's age.
Yep.
They were grown up this time. The three of them were married.
They were. And the thing is this again. We have those days they lasted way long. And they gave birth to children for a long time. So the possibility of that, in fact, it can be there. Definitely. And also, like I said, there is also a spiritual dynamic to this thing. It is gross and it is not ordinary. Because this is one of the head scratchers in the Bible. Why would you cause someone that had nothing to do with anything? And I'm going to bring out some scriptures again in the scripture that will also point to that direction of people doing this. Like I said before, this is not like a doctrine that I'll push on anybody. In fact, it doesn't really affect anybody. But it's just one of those Bible intrigues which when you look like, you're like, what is really going on here? But one thing we do know is this though. Uncovering nakedness definitely is sexual. Based on the way the idiom is used in Genesis. And looking at how it was used in Leviticus. Then if you look at Ezekiel, when God was talking about Israel, how they've been misbehaving, how they've become like it was referring to their idolatrous behavior as a kind of sexual fornication, which is another level of idiomatic expression inside another idiom. And he was always using the word, you uncovered. your nakedness was uncovered. Your nakedness was uncovered. He was always using that word. If you read Ezekiel, I think that should be Ezekiel. These are just some of the scriptures which when you begin to look like, you look at. If you read Ezekiel chapter 16, Ezekiel 22, Ezekiel 23, Ezekiel 16 is so like full of those type of words. It's a long chapter. And God constantly used this word. You know, a very strong sexual word that he was using to describe the behavior of Israel because of their idolatrous behavior. He actually called them whore. He says every man that passes by uncovers their nakedness. So the word uncovering, so I believe this could be a kind of an idiomatic expression there, referring to what happened to Noah. Because if you also look at it, if he stumbled upon his dad was naked, and he made fun of his dad and he went to tell his brothers. It's a bad thing, of course. No good son should do that. Why would his dad cause a child that is unborn that have nothing to do with it? It doesn't make any sense. Which is why it makes people scratch their head. It doesn't make any sense at all. So that is why I'm laying all this out for us to see. Everybody can reach his own conclusion. It's not a doctrinal preaching or teaching. But these are things, strange things that can happen. And when you look at the way words are used in the Bible at times, at least we've been able to ascertain the fact that uncovering nakedness, the way it is used in Leviticus, is talking about sexual stuff. But another place that is going to be interesting, which I want to relate to the place we just read concerning Jacob talking about what Reuben did, which I think is very interesting, is this. You will notice he said he went to my couch. He went to my bed. He's asserting that bed, that couch, that heart, he's talking about the domain belongs to him, even though he was not there. And there are scholars that think this way too about this, that when the Bible said that Noah was drunk in his tent, actually the word translated in his tent is actually supposed to be translated in a tent. In a tent. The same word that was used when Isaac got Rebekah, when Laban brought Rebekah, the Bible said, and Isaac took Rebekah into her mother's tent and knew her. Then Isaac was comforted, where he consummated the marriage, the mother's tent. The same word that was used to refer to the tent concerning Noah. Why? Because the tent, Noah's wife tent belonged to Noah. That is his domain. That is why it is his nakedness. It is quite interesting. I understand why none of this may be true at all, but we're trying to look at it to use scripture. The word that was translated there is actually supposed to be a tent. A tent. So the possibility is this. Noah is with the wife the way it's supposed to be. Is right. But he drank the wine and passes out. Then Ham came in, took advantage, do what he was not supposed to do, and Noah is not able to protect her. And then he finished, he told his brothers, trying to take over dominance from his father to be the one that will carry the covenant, to raise a seed as a way of showing that I am the head, I took over your wife. It's absurd. This thing is not normal at all.
So basically what you're saying is
Yes.
raped.
Definitely. That would be the only way. That would be the only way. Again, like I said, it's not a doctrine, but we are just trying to look at it. That is why this makes more sense than the one because a child is involved. I believe that it is possible that Canaan is that product. If you notice what happened with Lot too. Lot, because the girls, they wanted to continue, is about spreading your seed. This thing was very important in those days. The way they see it is not the way we see it. They can go crazy because they believe if Lot dies and they are just girls, the seed will not continue. What did they do? They lured their father to get drunk and they slept with their dad. They both took turns and they produced 2 kids that became 2 nations. And to God, they were illegitimate. They did it. So when we think of it, it's very gross. But if you look at the Bible, you see strange stuff like this. How gross can it be for 2 girls to lure their father to be drunk? And while she is drunk in the night, they slept with it. They didn't do it once, they took turn. And they both got pregnant. What is the chance? But it happened. So that is why I think this makes more sense than the other one. And I think when he told the brother, if you notice I hardly use the word I think when I do regular teaching. Because I don't want to create a doctrine. But when you look at the word of God, you see traces of strange stuff like this. I believe that when he told the brothers did the opposite. They went backward, they turned their back, and they covered their father's nakedness. Their father's nakedness is their mother's nakedness. The Bible made that very clear. And the Bible said, when Noah awoke, he knew what he did. Some translation said he saw what he did. And he said, cursed be Canaan. So that is why I'm looking at it from this perspective. I don't know if there's any other thought. It's kind of but again, this is part of the intrigues of the Bible. These are at times.
And I think there are some intrigues that maybe just the way we understand it, even having the scriptures to back it up, and we might not fully understand
yes,
them.
definitely.
So
definitely.
that is just the way we see it for now. The way, God,
Yeah.
But it is quite fascinating. Like I really learned a lot from this Ham and Canaan. It is quite fascinating to really see it based on how the scripture talk about the covering.
Yeah.
Of, it's just it's quite.
The man, when the Bible used that word a lot. If you touch a man's wife, you uncover the man's nakedness. Yeah, you uncover the man's nakedness. And it's an abomination. Yeah, it is an abomination. So, and definitely there is definitely a spiritual dimension to it. The devil will do anything, use any weakest point to try to get into what God was doing. That is always there. It is always there. The devil will try to do that. And there is always that leadership role in those times that was so important, and at times people try to get in there. Whatever is moving them, or definitely the devil as well, because it's a kind of a sick lust for power and dominance. And we've seen these figures in the Bible that they will become dominant, and the devil uses them. Someone like Nimrod, the devil will use them. They will gain dominance, they will gain preeminence, but they are not of God. So it can happen in that regard. Any more thoughts? All right. So what we can do also, let's look at some things that happen that is sort of related to this in the Bible that is kind of interesting. If we look at what happened with in in 2 Samuel, very weird stuff. In 2 Samuel chapter 16, I don't know how many of us we have read that David was in trouble. And we can also trace the source of his trouble to what he did. But his son Absalom actually tried to overthrow him. Absalom was trying to overthrow him. And he wanted to take over the position as the king of Israel. David had to run to protect his life, because he got many support. And among the people supporting him was Ahithophel. So Ahithophel gave him an advice. Say, if you want to entrench yourself so that people will see how much you despise your dad and to show superiority, go and sleep with your father's concubine publicly in the face of Israel. And it happened. Can we turn to 2 Chronicles? 2 Chronicles.
Second Samuel.
2 Samuel, yeah. Let's read. Oh boy. Yeah, it's not too much. 2 Samuel chapter 16. We'll read verse 21 to 22. We won't spend too much time. 2 Samuel 16, 21 to 22. This is a strange discussion. The Bible is full of strange stuff. But again, the reason I don't run away from them, the reason I like them, because it shows the depraved nature of man. It shows that man has always been like this. And this is why we need God. This is why Jesus came to deliver us from that depraved nature. All these people in the Bible, they were not just Superman that everything just worked out for. They had flaws, but God walked through it, and the ones that believe, God helped them. It's the same thing with us. Yeah. Some of these things are almost unthinkable when you read it. So I'll read it. And Ahithophel said to Absalom, this is the advice he gave. This guy is trying to overthrow his dad. And this man is giving him this type of advice to see how important it is to then one of the way you entrench yourself, one of the way you make your enemy feel weak and feel little is to take their concubines, is to take their wife. Although, like Jerry pointed out, it's a little far from somebody's own mom. I completely agree with that. It is. But this gives us a clue to how these people may be thinking then. So Ahithophel said unto Absalom, go in unto thy father's concubines, that he may have left to keep the house. Do you know there was a point David was actually hiding the concubines he himself got from Saul? He was hiding them. We'll read that place. It's funny. And the poor ladies, he hid them. They were hidden until they died. Until they died. Strange stuff. Go in unto thy father's concubine that he hath left to keep the house, and all Israel will hear that thou art abhorred of thy father. Then will the hands of all that are with thee be strong. Strange mindset. They believe that will make your men strong because they will feel superior. Verse 22. So they spread Absalom a tent because David ran away. Absalom almost killed him. They spread Absalom a tent upon the top of the house. And Absalom went in unto his father's concubine in the sight of all Israel. Think about that. He raped them all in the sight of all Israel. So these are strange stuff. And this is why I said, later you see when Solomon became king, he did something very strange too. Because this is how they feel they entrench themselves. Let's turn to, let's look at Solomon's song. That should be 2 Kings. Let's look at 1 King. 1 King chapter 13. No, 1 King chapter 2. We'll read from verse 13 to 25. 1 King chapter 2. At this point, we know David is old now. You know, David survived Absalom's coup and, you know, at this point, David is old and Solomon was chosen to be the king. David, by the time he became very old, they got him a wife. Very young, beautiful girl. But David is too old to even sleep with a woman. But the job was for her to keep David warm, because he could not be warm anymore. So, strange stuff. Strange stuff. Just, he need a woman body to keep him warm. Strange stuff. And you read these things in the Bible, it's just mind-boggling, but this is true. That's why I love the Bible. The Bible doesn't sugarcoat anything. It says it the way it happened, because there's a message in all of them for us. When you look at it, you see how gracious God is, how patient God is with man, the stuff we do. So they got this lady for David to keep David warm. So by the time Solomon became king, Solomon's brother that also wanted to become king, they were struggling for it. But eventually Solomon was the one that was favored. So he went to Solomon's mother. He didn't go to Solomon direct. He liked the girl. He said, okay, since we are, you became king, I'm supposed to be, why don't you just give me the girl that used to keep daddy's warm? Just give me the girl to be my wife. Guess what Solomon did? Let me read it. Verse 13. Then Adonijah, the son of Haggith, came to Bathsheba, the mother of Solomon. And she said, comest thou peaceably? And he said, peaceably. The reason she asked that is because they've been having this fight on who wants to become king. A lot of politics, if you read it, a lot of stuff going on there. Are you coming peaceably? Because you're never sure what is coming to do. He said peaceably. Verse 14. He said, moreover, I have somewhat to say unto thee. And she said, say on. So she's telling Solomon's mom, I have something to say. And he said, thou knowest that the kingdom was mine, and that all Israel set their face on me, that I should reign. Howbeit, the kingdom is turned about, and is become my brother's, for it was his from Jehovah. He understood that God made it possible for Solomon, which is true. And now I ask one petition of you. You see, he's not denying Solomon as king. He is accepted it that this is what God wanted. He's just making a request. I ask one petition of thee, deny me not. And she said unto him, say on. And he said, speak, I pray thee, unto Solomon the king. For he will not say thee nay, that he give me Abishag, the Shunammite, to wife. Verse 18. And Bathsheba said, well, I will speak for thee unto the king. Bathsheba therefore went unto King Solomon to speak unto him for Adonijah. And the king rose up to meet her, and bowed himself unto her, and sat down on his throne, and caused a throne to be set for the king's mother. And she sat on his right hand. Then she said, now you will see how Solomon reacts. Then she said, I ask one small petition of thee, deny me not. And the king said unto her, ask on, my mother, for I will not deny thee. Okay, I will not deny thee. And she said, let Abishag, the Shunammite, be given unto Adonijah thy brother to wife. Hear what Solomon says. 22. And King Solomon answered and said unto his mother, and why dost thou ask Abishag, the Shunammite, for Adonijah? Ask for him the kingdom also. In Solomon's mind, if that lady, if you give her that lady, you might as well just ask for me to relinquish my kingship and give him the kingdom. For he is mine elder brother, even for him, and for Abiathar the priest, and for Joab the son of Zeruiah. Then King Solomon swore by Jehovah, saying, God do so to me and more also, if Adonijah had not spoken this word against his own life. He basically say, this guy has condemned himself just by asking. Because in Solomon's mind, it's a very big thing. Because it's an indirect way of Adonijah trying to assert power, taking on one of the father's women that is still left. Now, therefore, verse 24, as Jehovah liveth, who hath established me and set me on the throne of David, my father, and who hath made me a house as he promised, surely Adonijah shall be put to death this day. And King Solomon sent by Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, and he fell upon him so that he died. You see the word I was used here again, fell upon him. It's an angel. He killed him. He killed his own brother because he asked for the father's concubine. Strange stuff. But again, this is why when I look at what is going on in that Genesis there, and I begin to look at all these things, you're like, okay, maybe this is what is going on here. So I thought it's sort of very interesting and just fascinating how even at a certain point, King David, the women he got from, even when David sinned, you will see one of the way God spoke to David. When God sent Nathan, God told David, I gave the throne to you, and I gave you all Saul's concubine. Because it is one of the way they entrenched themselves. All Saul's wives that he left, they now belong to David, if he wanted them. But what did he do? By the time David was in trouble, when Absalom was after him, after Absalom died, he was weeping for Absalom, and some of his generals, they were not happy. That, why are you weeping for the guy that almost killed you? What about people that lose their life trying to help you out? And they threatened him, and he listened to them. So eventually he went to speak to the whole Israel, and he wanted them to come together. But there was a guy among them that said, no, don't go to David. David is that. He rose up against David. Guess what David did? The concubines he got from Saul, he went to hide them. So this thing was a thing then. It was a thing. He went to hide them. Let's go to strange stuff. Strange stuff. Let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 20. To get the full story of what is going on there, you have to read the whole of chapter 19 all the way down to... Maybe if you have time on your own, you can read them. Chapter 19 all the way down to 20. You know, the full story of how Absalom eventually died. Actually, from chapter 18, after Absalom died, David cried because it's his son, even though the son, raped his concubines in the presence of the whole of Israel. What a disgrace. To make him look low, he still cried for his son. And Joab was not happy. And at this point, David is just recovering. So, but this is one of the things he did. 2 Samuel chapter 20. Let's read it from verse 1. And there happened to be there a base fellow whose name was Sheba, the son of Bichri, a Benjamite, And he blew the trumpet and said, we have no portion in David, neither have we inheritance in the son of Jesse. Every man to his tent, O Israel. This is when David was eventually trying to gather all Israel to himself after Absalom was dead, because then Absalom took Israel and it was only Judah that was with David. He almost completely lost the whole kingdom. His son almost took everything. So, verse 2, all the men of Israel went up from following David and followed Sheba, the son of Bichri. But the men of Judah clave unto their king, from the Jordan even to Jerusalem. This is the next step David took. And David came to his house at Jerusalem, and the king took the 10 women, his concubines, whom he had left to keep the house, and put them in ward, and provided them with sustenance, but went not in unto them. So they were shut up unto the day of their death, living in widowhood. He hid them. Strange stuff. Verse 4. Then said the king to Amasa, call me the men of Judah, and together within 3 days, and be thou here present. So this is when he was actually trying to get the people together again, before eventually was able to get all Israel and eventually crown him as king of the whole nation again. But I'm just pointing out how this thing was a thing about people to assert themselves, taking people's concubine. I completely agree with the point Jerry made. It's a little far from concubine to somebody's own mom. But there's a lot of strange things in the Bible. And it's one of those intrigues I look at and I'm like, wow, this thing is very strange. So I don't know if there's any thought, words. And it's very okay to disagree with this.
So,
Yes, Jerry.
I can understand why David went and hid those people. Because Absalom has met with him.
Yes. Yes.
So until it's a mess that has happened.
What a mess, yeah.
Yeah, it's a big mess that happened. And but this whole thing, the sexual taking wives, and I mean for them, one, David had a lot of wives. And then had
Too many.
There's problem upon problem upon problem.
Yes.
And God is so gracious and merciful that women were just used as a tool.
Yes.
It's interesting.
It is.
Even with that, as we read through that, even more questions comes up on other things, but I don't want to distract us.
And you remember was it the week before? Was it? Where I was reading somewhere to you, Jerry, from the book of Acts, where Paul talked about the time of ignorance God winked at.
Yeah.
I believe these are part of the things. I believe they were not the best, but God just allowed it anyway, for that time being. I mean, one man having how many wives? It is absurd. And God walked with them. He allowed them for that time being. And of course, Jesus came and made it very clear. Although there are people today that still try to marry more than one wife, and they claim to be Christians. There are some, yeah. Yeah.
There are even religion that actually call that encourage incest.
Mm-hmm. That encourage what?
Incest.
Oh boy, that's not. Yeah.
Mother, son, and all.
Yeah.
So that it has spiritual significance.
Yeah.
And to worship. They are group that encourage that.
Probably the same spirit. If I'm right in my conjecture, probably the same spirit that was working in Ham. Yeah, strange stuff. Yeah.
The same spirit that actually in places of high power, this type of spirit.
Yes, yes.
These people that are in high power, like most of these politicians and even these top religious leaders, it's interesting if you start looking at them. You are amazed how this type of progression is common in the family and all.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. If you look at king lines throughout the ages, it's true. Again, you see the type of spirit is all about power. Anything for power. And this is why when I look at it, as I began to look at it, this makes sense to me more than the other one, because we know that there is something sexual going on there. You can tell. The Bible made that clear from the book of Leviticus, uncovering. If it was just a physical nakedness or the father fell down and is sleeping, I don't think Noah would have taken it that to just, even to cause harm. And it didn't cause harm. It didn't cause harm. So that just make it even more stranger. And these are some things that some people will read in the Bible, people that are non-believers, and they'll say the Bible is not correct, it's strange, there's just so many ambiguity, this doesn't make sense. But how do we explain it? Of course we cannot explain everything, but we can present a case like, this is what I think is going on there, but because however you look at it, it doesn't make sense. And people have taken that place to misrepresent it on so many levels that harm was caused, and so the race that came with harm is the black race, so the black race is caused. All those type of things, So again, which is, it has nothing to do with that. And also, it is Canaan that was caused. It wasn't Cush. It wasn't Cush. Cush is also from Ham. Yeah. So again, having a certain way to look at it, using scripture to really look at it, this could be a possibility of what was going on there. And as a way to delegitimate his grab for power through this very hideous, abominable act. So Canaan was caused so that he cannot be legitimate. It will not go past there. And we see what happened with Canaan. We know where Canaan, who Canaanites they became. They were bad people. Very, very bad. And that's why I believe that there's a spiritual dimension to this. Probably another attempt of the devil to influence man to do something to try to thwart the plan of God concerning the Redeemer that was to come, which is always the case with almost everything in the Bible. There is always this aspect of it that has to do with the coming of Christ. Either, somebody acting very nicely in faith in response to God, or somebody being used by the devil to act very badly to stop what God is doing. Even Absalom's behavior is part of it. It's part of it because David is of that line. If he had his way, he would have killed David. Even though his own son, he would have killed David. So we see it over and over and over again. So I thought it was interesting. So any more thoughts?
I just want to quickly say something. That
Yes, Jerry. Please go ahead.
Even after Noah was Canaan, that Canaan is going to be a servant to Shem. Canaan still became a nation.
Oh, yes.
I mean, they became a nation. They are big. It wasn't just a nation, but a nation whose land flourished with milk and honey.
Yes.
They were really bad people.
Right?
It's interesting how we classify prosperity. If there's someone there that at that time when Noah would have said, look at what did he do? It doesn't work. Look at these people for years, for hundreds of years.
Jerry, you raised a very important point. That was the point I was trying to make when I was saying that we should understand what this curse means. This curse doesn't mean that these people will not do well at all. A lot of these things are far beyond the way we see it. And you raise them. If they were so cursed, how come their land was a land flowing with milk and honey? The cause was that they have no place in that covenant. That is why I believe that there is something going on here that includes trying to propagate a seed to carry Ham's name. And the cause is cut off from that covenant. Because in terms of other aspects, they were taken care of. Like Jerry said, their land was so good, even though God eventually took that land from them and gave it to Israel. But the land is called the land of Canaan. Even till today, we refer to the land of Canaan as a place of what? Enjoyment, right? Canaan land. Right? Canaan land. Israel was going to Canaan land of milk and honey. That is a very great point you made, Jerry. It's a very great point. So the way we see things is not always the way God sees it. It's not always the way God sees it. That's why God is such a good God. A lot of things we don't understand, and by the time our mind is open, when Christ comes, we're going to glorify him so much. God is so patient. God is so full of loving devotion. I read people's behavior in the Bible, and it reminds me of the fact that they were just like us. They were just like us. And that gives me the courage. For those that walk with God, if God walks so close with them, that means he can walk close to me too. So that gave me courage. You know. So it is very interesting. I was sharing with the kids the other day about the intricacies involved in what happened between Sarah. We will soon get there anyway as we go through Genesis. Between Sarah and her servant Hagar. She came up with the idea. And she's the one that started griping and complaining. And she's the one that told Abraham, you got to get away this woman and the son. It's just easy like that. Abraham was like, what kind of a woman is this? Abraham was like, this is evil. That was actually how he felt until God himself told him, listen to your wife. You know, strange stuff. So you want to just get rid of that guy, the little boy that didn't do anything. He has no place in this. But there is something going on there. There, through which God is teaching us something. He's walking through the flaws and the desires in the heart of men that is not always in line with what God wants. And he walks through their mistake and he uses it to reveal how much he loves us, how much he cares, and how much depraved we are without him. And yet he's still patient with us. So this is what all these things is all about for the most part. So it's quite interesting. Praise God. Yeah. So